Great. Okay, well, let's get cracking. Thanks so much for coming. My name's Ali, and I'm really looking forward to telling you about this amazing opportunity to go trekking in the mountains of Nepal and learn all about Nepalese culture, experience the hustle and bustle of Kathmandu. It's going to be an amazing experience. I've got a fair bit to go through this evening, and so hopefully I'll answer most of the questions that you might currently have, but if I don't, there will be some time for questions at the end, so feel free to save your questions for the end. If I can just ask everyone to keep their microphones just muted just while I'm going through the presentation, just helps with the quality of the audio. And just to let you know as well that I am recording the presentation just for anybody who doesn't make it tonight, just so you're aware that I'm recording it. So the situation and how this opportunity has come about, maybe I should start by explaining that. Whickham School have been running expeditions with World Challenge every 2 years, I think since 2005. It might be even before that, but it's been a long time. This year's trip, we had 2 teams lined up to travel this summer, but it's looking like we're having to push back all of our trips because of the pandemic. So the students who were lined up to travel this year have had the chance to transfer onto this expedition to Nepal in 2022 instead. But for some of them, it's not going to be an option because maybe they're leaving school or they've got other plans. So it's left some places on the team, and you guys are more than welcome to join, and I really hope that you do. So perhaps I'll start off just by explaining why I really want you to do this and why I'm so passionate about it. And the reason really is I'm kind of the product of something a little bit like this. I was lucky enough to go on something similar when I was a lot younger than I am now, but not as young as you guys are. And, you know, every time I say it, it feels really corny, but it was absolutely life-changing for me. It really was. My first trip was to Borneo, and I remember when we first arrived, one of the first things we had to do was a short trek into the jungle. So off we went with our backpacks loaded with everything you could possibly imagine. We'd packed really badly, taken far too much stuff, stumbling through the jungle really slow, being passed by all the locals, carrying loads on their heads much bigger than we were carrying, and flip-flops on their feet usually. And this trek that was only supposed to take us a few hours ended up taking us 2 days. We had to set up camp in the middle of it because we were so useless. But when we finally arrived in this remote village in the middle of nowhere, we were greeted by this incredible community that just lived life so simply. It really made us think about all the things we have in our bags and all the stuff we surround ourselves with at home. We learned loads about a completely different culture, about a completely different way of life. But the biggest thing for me was that I just learned so much about myself, and I learned that I could do things that previously I just didn't think I could have done. And I've gone on to do things that I know I wouldn't have done if I hadn't had that first expedition experience. So that's why I really want you all to do this. You know, it is much more than going away for 3 weeks with your mates and having the time of your life. You will do that as well, but it really is something that makes you see the world differently. And I think especially now, more than ever, it's just such an important thing to do. We've all had our wings clipped through lockdown, and you know, I want you young people to know that the world is open to you, that there are possibilities like this that you can do. And I really hope that you're going to sign up. And, you know, I think we all need something to look forward to at the moment. So it's something for you to really focus on and look forward to in the next year or so. You are in very good hands. We've been doing this for a long time, over 30 years. And in that time, we've sent more than 150,000 young people off all over the world on these adventures. It is different to your average school trip or holiday. This is all about your personal growth. So it's not the kind of experience where you're just going to get taken by the hand and told what to do. We want our students to take the lead as much as possible And so you'll be making a lot of the day-to-day decisions yourself, deciding how you're going to organise your day, what you're going to eat, managing your own budget. You'll have adults travelling with you, but they're not going to be in charge. You will. We want you to be making all the day-to-day decisions. And that's what really helps us to see this incredible development in young people. Our students come back from these experiences and they're stronger, more confident, more resilient, more independent, things that really do make you stand out from the crowd. So it's a really awesome thing to do from your development point of view. Now, the other thing about this is we want the students to take responsibility and ownership right from the start. And that starts with earning the money to go on the trip. So you've probably seen already the cost of the expedition is over £4,000. It is a significant amount of money. There's no getting away from that. But you know, I really do believe in the value of it, because I see all the time how it impacts young people and how it changes and develops them. And I hope when you've heard everything that's involved that you'll also agree where that value lies. But it's not just about us looking for a big check from the bank of mum and dad. We want our challengers to earn a chunk of that money themselves. And I'll talk some more later on about how you can earn your money, and even in COVID times, how that's possible as well. So first of all, let's have a look at in a bit more detail at what you're going to be doing. So this is a trip that's departing in July 2022. It's really action-packed. You've got loads to look forward to, an incredible country. You're going to touch down in Kathmandu, which is a very exciting city with its bustling back streets, mysterious temples. There's usually a few monkeys crawling around the place and cows wandering up and down the streets. Cows are holy in Nepal, so they just roam wherever they want to and stop the traffic. So it's a real assault on the senses, all the sights and sounds and smells of the city, and you're going to have some time to explore and get organised. Maybe try some of the food. The food is amazing. You've got these incredible dumplings that you can try that are really delicious. Explore the temples and the markets. And then it's time to put your boots on and go for a day trek just outside Kathmandu. So it's just a bit of a testing the water to kind of get used to trekking in the mountains. On a clear day, you've got some really spectacular views. You can even see Everest on a very clear day. So you'll get the opportunity to head out there and see some of this spectacular scenery. And then next up, you're going to head over to Pokhara. So Pokhara is a kind of base for a lot of trekking in Nepal. So you head over there. It's quite an interesting journey in itself on the bus on the way out there. You're going to get the chance to observe all the changing scenery and watching Nepalese life as you pass through the towns and villages. Life is really different here, so lots to look out for. And then when you get there to the start of your trek, you're going to meet your trek team. So you're going to be supported by guides, porters and cooks. So they're going to teach you all about Nepalese life and about life in the mountains and help to support you on this 6-day trek. So you'll head up into the Annapurna region. You're going to be staying in tents, which we provide you, or in the traditional Nepalese tea houses. So you get a chance to really sample that mountain way of life, which is very, very cool. And the countryside is absolutely stunning. There's so much for you to see. It's a great sense of achievement when you've reached the top. You know, you've reached your goal, you've worked together as a team to get there. It's a great feeling, and I hope you'll be rewarded by some of these amazing views. You were surrounded by 8,000-meter peaks, and it's very, very spectacular. So a brilliant thing to do, a good challenge, and something you'll never forget. And then after that, you'll have a bit of time to explore Pokhara. It's a really beautiful lakeside town. So it's up to you how you spend your time there. You might just want to chill out and recover from your trek, stay by the lake, maybe hire some boats. You can head into the markets to buy some souvenirs. And then you're going to head back towards Kathmandu to go and work on a project and get stuck into a community initiative. So on this part of the trip, you're going to become part of a team at a sustainable farm. Agriculture in Nepal is growing and it's causing biodiversity loss as habitats are destroyed and made into farmland, and chemicals being used and so on. So it's having a negative impact in some cases. So on this farm, they train local people in environmentally friendly practices to grow organic produce and help the environment. So you'll get to stay at the farm and learn about their work and get stuck in and help out. So we want you to roll your sleeves up and help out with the helping with the crops, helping with looking after the animals. So it's a true immersion into rural Nepalese life. You're going to be cooking with the locals, learning all about their traditions. They'll want to learn all about yours as well. So it's a real exchange. This kind of agro-tourism, this farm tourism, is part of the aspirations of this project. So the farm trains up farmers to host visitors like us to come and help them to generate some more income. So your visit is giving them practice in that field as well. And it's a great experience, something you'll never forget, quite different to the normal experiences you get when you travel as a tourist. You're really getting into the real Nepal. And then back into Kathmandu, you've got a bit of time at the end to go and explore the ancient city of Bhaktapur. You've got the Bodhnath temple. There's an incredible women's initiative that you can go and visit. So the women in Nepal are often really discriminated against, especially disabled women or widowed women. And so these incredible ladies have set up this initiative where you can go and do a cookery workshop with them or a handicrafts workshop, help to support their enterprise and learn all about their challenges that they face. It's a very cool thing to do. And then you'll head home with your bag full of all these souvenirs that you've haggled for in the markets, and your head full of all these incredible memories. So it's going to be a really, really fun 3 weeks. So as I mentioned, we do send a lot of young people on expedition every year. And with that comes a big responsibility. We want to make sure that our trips are positive and make a positive impact, not just for you, for the students, but also for the communities we visit and for the planet as a whole. So we peg all of our programs to one or more of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, so that you can be confident that the project you get involved in has some meaningful outcomes for local people. So in this case, it's all about improving life on land and also providing decent work and economic growth for local people. But we hope this is going to be much more than just the few weeks you're there. We hope that it's going to result in, you know, maybe you thinking a little bit differently, doing things a bit differently. So whether you come back and you always buy the fair trade coffee, or you make an effort to use less plastic, you know, it all counts. These are the kinds of experiences that do make a big lasting impact. We already carbon offset all of our flights. But going forward, we're aspiring to become carbon negative. So we want to invest in more carbon reducing projects than our business creates. So you'll hear a bit more about that in the next year or so as well. The other really big thing we care about is safety. So safety is absolutely our #1 priority, and I'm sure it will be for parents as well listening. Now, you know, I can't sit here and say that going on expedition is going to be entirely risk-free. I don't think anything in life is 100% risk-free, especially the best things that are worth doing. But I can tell you that over the last 30 years, we have developed the experience, the resources, the staff, and the most robust systems to enable us to mitigate against risk and keep our students as safe as possible, and to be able to respond really quickly if anything unexpected does happen. So all of our teams are supported by our operations centre, which is manned 24/7 when we've got teams in country. So the team can always get in contact with someone if they need support, whether that's for medical assistance, someone's lost a passport, or something unexpected has happened and the itinerary might need to change. We're there to help with that. Now, I always say that I hope that nobody listening here is going to experience our ops centre in full swing, responding to an incident, because that would suggest that something hasn't gone according to plan. But I can tell you that when that machine starts working, it is super impressive, and there's no limit to the amount of support or resource we wouldn't put behind a team if they did get into difficulty. So hope you never need to use any of it, but I think for parents especially, it's reassuring to know what level of support is there. There is a video which is on the trip web page. I have copied the web page into the chat on this call, but you should have been emailed it as well. So if you scroll down that page, you'll be able to find our safety video. So please take a look at that. It explains a bit more about our approach to safety and backup and why we're the leaders in this field. And I think once you've watched that, you will see that this is where we invest really heavily. And when we talk about cost and value, this is where the money goes. We don't skimp on this side of things. So let's talk about the money and what you're paying for. So you can see on the diagram roughly how the costs are proportioned and what's included. Basically, from the moment you get on the plane to the moment you get off it, all of your costs are included, all your flights, the carbon offsetting for those flights, your accommodation, food, transport, everything. You're covered by a very comprehensive travel and medical insurance policy while the team's away. And all of our expedition leaders and school leaders are trained before you go to make sure that you're supported properly. We've got our ops centre that I mentioned in case you need any assistance. And we provide all of the safety equipment and the team kit. So things like medical equipment, all the tents and stoves and things like that. You don't need to buy those. We provide all those. And we're also making a financial contribution to the community that you're visiting as well. So that's part of it too. You're going to have access to a structured online pre-departure program in the build up to your expedition. That's been designed to help you to get ready. So you can work through that with your teachers. It gets you thinking about global citizenship, about your own personal well-being, about how to get fit for your trip, how to look after your mental well-being as well. And your own development, things like teamwork, leadership skills and things like that, so that you're really, really well prepared before you go and you can make sure that you get the very best out of the experience. And very importantly, I should point out too, in these uncertain times, you do have full COVID protection. So if we can't run the trip, or if you can't travel for a COVID-19 reason, you'll get a full refund. For example, it's looking like this summer we're not going to be able to get many of our trips away, and so all of those people that were signed up this year, they've either got the option to transfer onto a later year or they'll get a full refund, and that is guaranteed for everyone signing up with us. But more than that, it goes further. It also covers you if you were to test positive for COVID the week before you're about to go, or you were track and traced and it meant that you were going to miss your departure. If either of those things were unfortunately happening, then you would also get a full refund. So I hope that's reassuring to know that you can confidently sign up, but know that your money is going to be safe, even in these uncertain times. So all of those things are included. The only things not included are visas. You will need a visa for Nepal, so factor that into your budget. The cost of a visa at the moment is around $50, so about £35. You will probably need some vaccinations as well and personal kit. We can advise on that. A little bit of spending money, but not very much, because everything is basically included in your budget. You might just want to take a bit of spending money just to cover souvenirs, any gifts you want to take home, any treats and things like that. And you're covered with a very comprehensive insurance policy while you're there. But some people like to take out their own policy to cover pre-departure cancellation. So just in case you got poorly beforehand and couldn't go, you can take out separate holiday cancellation insurance for that. And also for your own personal belongings. So if you're taking something like a camera or something like that, you might want to make sure that that's covered. So where's all this money going to come from? Well, as I said at the beginning, part of the challenge and part of the ownership is that we want the challengers to earn some of the money for this themselves. And on average, our challengers raise about 80% of the funds themselves, and many students raise every single penny without any parental contribution. Now, I know we're on a bit of a shorter time scale for you guys, and you know, obviously every family situation is going to be different. So if your parents are able to help you out a bit, then that's fine, and you're very lucky. But I still think that earning some of the money yourself is a really important part of the challenge, and it really can be done even in these COVID times. So I don't want people thinking that it can't be done. And the reason I can so confidently say that is because I've got twins in year 11 who were also hoping to go on expeditions this summer. They've now deferred to 2022. But their trip was launched just before lockdown, and they've done all of their fundraising basically within restrictions. So it can be done. Some of the things they've done, they've baked lots of cakes and sold those. They've done easy fundraising where you get cash back for your expedition just by shopping online. Get your friends and family to do that. That really adds up. They've raised about £400 from that. They made some mosaic mirrors during lockdown, raised about £300 from those. They had a massive sort out, sold stuff online and at car boot sales in the summer. That raised a lot. They had an online raffle. They were going to host a restaurant night, but of course with COVID we couldn't do that, so they held a raffle on Facebook Live instead, and that raised £750. And they've both got paper rounds, and so they put their money away every single week from their paper rounds. Now, I'm not sitting here saying it's been easy. Of course it's a lot of hard work, but I really believe that if you can shift your mindset away from focusing on the things you can't do because of COVID and start thinking about the things you can do, and start early and do a little bit often, it really does all add up. And you know, you really can raise a chunk of this in the time that you've got. My kids have managed to raise £5,000 between them since February last year, so they're really well on track. And you know, you can absolutely do it as well. And just imagine how good that's going to feel when you look back on it and think that you've done a lot of this yourself. And also what it says about you when you're applying for jobs and university in the future. I have absolutely no doubt that your generation are going to be asked in interviews time and time again, what did you do throughout the pandemic? And how amazing is it going to be for you to be able to say, well, I earned money, I prepared for this amazing trip of a lifetime, and when I got there, I learned all about a different culture, trekked the Himalayas, learned all about leadership and teamwork. You know, it says so much about you when a lot of your peers might be able to answer the same question by saying, well, I managed to do my online lessons and I played a lot of Xbox and spent a lot of time on TikTok. So it really will make you stand out from the crowd, and a great sense of satisfaction for doing a chunk of this yourselves. I couldn't be happier as a parent about how much my twins have learned through the process of earning their fee. I love it when they get up every morning to do their paper round. They start work before me every day, and it's really good to see that work ethic developing. So they're going to make it, you know, they're going to raise all the money they need, and you can do it as well. I promise you can. So there's a few examples on the screen of other challenges and how some of the things they've done as well. But yeah, there's lots of things you can still do. So that's about it from me. I just wanted to explain what happens next. Obviously, there's a lot to think about. You'll need to talk about it as a family. So do have a good look at the landing page. So this is just a screenshot of the page in case you haven't seen it already. And there's lots of information on there about the itinerary and all about us. If you scroll down, you can watch that safety video. If you scroll down to the bottom as well, there's also the terms and conditions. Do have a look at those. I know they're never fascinating reading, but just make sure you're happy with what you're signing up for. It is a bit like when you book a holiday, the closer to departure, the less money you would get back if you dropped out. So just make sure you're comfortable with all of that. There's also information on there about our COVID safe booking as well, so you can find out a bit more about the protection you've got with our COVID policy too. So if you do want to be part of the team, we'd love you to join. We're just asking everyone to apply online through that web link. So it's on the screen there now, and it's in the chat as well. So just go to the landing page and click the button to register. We're asking everyone to register by the 13th of April so that we can firm up on our numbers and start making our plans for our team. So if you can register by then, that would be great. And there is a first instalment to pay. It's £407, which is a very odd amount, and it's a larger deposit than normal because you're joining a trip that's already established. So please don't let that put you off. If it's not going to be possible to get that together by the 13th of April, please just register, but stop by the time you get to the payment bit, and just drop us an email and let us know that you do want to be part of the team, and you can then pay the trip deposit later once you've got it together. Please don't let that put you off if it's going to take you longer to get that together. But we'd like to know, who's interested so that we can get things organised, as I say, and make some plans. The team size will be somewhere between 12 and 20 in the team, depending on how many people are interested. If you've got any questions, then feel free to ask away now. Or if you think of anything after tonight, then just get in touch with our customer support team. But hopefully I've covered quite a few things there. I love talking about these exciting adventures again after all these months of lockdown. I think it's so important for young people to have these experiences. So I really hope that you're going to all join the team. You can go straight to that landing page to register. But for now, if you've got any questions, feel free to either turn your microphone on or you can type them into the chat, whatever you prefer. If you've heard everything that you need and you haven't got any other questions, then I won't be offended if people start to leave the call, but I will stick around until everyone's questions are dealt with. But if you are going to sign off, then thanks for coming, and I hope that you're going to join the team. So Jack, did you have a question?
Yeah, thanks. It's just because I'm very scared of spiders, like especially big ones.
Okay.
And I've done some research, and apparently people are saying Kathmandu, it's you never see them, but it's in the rural areas such as the Trex areas. So how often would I see one, and is there anything I can do to sort of get like not be scared, if you know what I mean, type of thing?
Yeah. Well, look, don't worry. I'm sure you wouldn't be the only one who wants to avoid spiders. I'm not a massive fan either. I can't guarantee that you won't see any. And as you say, it's more likely when you're out in the countryside that you're likely to run into things like that. But part of the preparation and part of the advice that your expedition leader will give you is things like of how you can avoid coming up close to creepy crawlies that you don't want to get up close to. So you'll get into real habits of shaking your boots out before you put them on, and just checking your sleeping bag before you get in and things like that, just to make sure you don't get any nasty surprises. So I don't think you'll be alone about that, Jack. It's a question that comes up quite often, but don't let it put you off, because it really isn't a reason not to go, and you will be able to manage things. And who knows, by the end of this experience, it might really help you with your fear of spiders. I hope so. So question from Sarah: how long is the trip in total? It's 20 nights. So depending on flights, it's probably going to be sort of between 21 to 23 days door to door, if you like. But 20 nights actually in country. Is this the youngest age that's ever been included? I'm concerned that it'll be too much for 15-year-olds. So 15 is year 10, that's right, isn't it? So for us, it's not too young. So we have most of our trips we have people from 14 to 19 going on our trips. But Mr. Go Lightly, I might just draw on you here, because would year 10 have the opportunity to go again later if they wanted to go later? Possibly. You're on mute. I can't hear you. You're on mute. Oh. There you go.
You hear me now?
I can, yeah, thank you.
I didn't realise I'd been muted. We normally takes 11, 12 and 13. With regard to, there will be one, we're planning to have one, I think, in 23 as well. I had a discussion with some teachers today, and also some year 9 students who are very keen to go. So yes, there will be one, hopefully in 23 as well.
Cool. Okay, so so yeah, if you decided that this was going to be too soon, then you could wait for the next one and you still get a chance to go in a couple of years' time. And we'll probably start talking about that, I would imagine, and promoting that, I don't know, September or earlier?
Well, we've been doing it in July, haven't we?
Yeah, we have done. Yeah.
Yeah.
So watch this space, because that will be coming your way quite soon. Question from Holly: where would the flights depart from? We're going to be, this is a Newcastle departure, so we're going to get flights from Newcastle. Will you do a practice hike, as was the plan last year before it was cancelled? So we've slightly changed our programme for future trips. So there will be a training day when the expedition leader is going to come to the school and spend a day with the team, and potentially do a bit of hiking on that day, and some training with the team. So there will be the chance to do that. It's not going to be over a full weekend like it would have been this year. It will be a day at the school, but lots of opportunities for learning some skills and doing some walking then as well. So a medical question about epilepsy. My parents are worried about how it will affect me, especially on a trip, and what is physically demanding. It's well managed, and I haven't had a seizure since August 2019. So that absolutely doesn't rule you out. And with any medical condition, we ask for as much information beforehand so that we can build a full risk assessment for every single individual and every single medical condition. So we would need to really kind of find out about the history of this medical condition or any medical condition for all of our participants, so that we know what it's like on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis. What is it like when things are bad, and you know, what the treatment or interventions would be, so that all of our teams, our adult leadership team, our expedition leader, our school leaders and challengers as well, are all fully briefed and prepared if anything should happen when on the trip. So it absolutely doesn't rule you out, and it absolutely can be managed. We just need you to be really open with us and honest about all medical history, so that we can make sure we can support you properly while you're away. But we can definitely talk to your mum about that if they're worried. And then another question about a nut allergy. So yes, we've had many participants going on trips with us with severe nut allergies. And so again, we have a process that we would need to go through with you before departure to make sure we fully understand that condition and what interventions would be needed. And so we would work with you on that risk assessment. But again, it should not put you off going. It is something that we're well used to at World Challenge. And we just need to make sure we've got all the information so that we can properly look after you. With things like allergies, we recommend when you're visiting different countries and communicating with people in different languages, it's a good idea to have little flashcards to explain about your nut allergy, so we can help you with things like that, to make sure that you're avoiding those kinds of things that are going to give you a reaction. And you'll probably have your own EpiPen and things like that, but we also have spares in our medical kit as well, if they were needed. So yeah, again, you know, it's just one of those things we just need to make sure we understand fully and be able to support you with it, but it wouldn't rule you out of the trip. Any other questions? I don't want to cut anybody off if they're typing away, but I think we might be about there. So if we are, thank you so much for listening to me tonight. And I really hope that you're going to want to be part of this. It is a brilliant thing to do. So do sign up, do click that link on the web page, and make sure that you get on the team. If you have any other questions after today, then do get in contact with our support team. We'll be happy to help. And yeah, look forward to catching up with you all and getting our team together and sending you off on an amazing adventure. But thank you very much for coming along.
Thank you, Ali.
All right, thank you.